Hello, dear Virgo. I'm Jamie Dawn, your revolutionary astrologer, bringing you your September 2021 horoscope. And this is your month. Why? Well, of course, the sun is in your sign. So happy birthday to a few of you Virgos who have already had birthdays. And we have a new moon in your sign this month. And that actually is on the 6th. So we have a few days before this new moon. So leading up to it, you're going to have Mars in Virgo in your sign, opposite Neptune and Pisces. And so this is your 1st and 7th house activated. The other theme overall for the month of September for you is your 2nd house. And that's where Libra is. And you're going to have the Sun, Mercury, Mars all moving into Libra throughout the month. And so with Mercury as well, I've made this an update for all signs, but this is going to affect you in your 2nd house. Mercury is going shadow on the 6th, which is that new moon for you. And then it retrogrades at the end of September for the most of the month of October, because it doesn't leave its shadow until November. So this 2nd house is going to be really active for you, and I'm going to talk about that. But let's start with the Mars and Neptune opposition in your 1st and 7th house. So you may be dreaming of opportunities to have more things, and who do you need to partner with or join forces with to get what you want? And so you're looking at yourself, you're looking at how you show up in the world. What is it that you offer? And then who is it that you can actually partner with? What you do want to be careful of, though, is that you don't over fantasize and go into this illusory form about who somebody is, especially if you're daydreaming about relationship. Because Mars on your 1st house is driving you to really get some things done, driving you to show up in a certain way, maybe changing the way you look. Mars is all about survival. It's all about our passion. It's our independence. And so this may cause you to really be driven to find a partnership if you are single, or if you're in a partnership, you may put your partner on a pedestal, and then they may not show up the way that you need them to. On the other hand, you may also be finding yourself with attracting or driving yourself to meet somebody that can reflect back to you what you're looking for most, which is to be of great service, which is to show up in a very humble way, but also in a way that says, I know how to take something that maybe is illusory and put it into practical, tangible use. This is great benefits if you're working on a project or you're trying to get something completed for yourself. Also, this is a great time, even though I know Mercury will go into shadow and retrograde at the end of the month. If you have any sort of, let's say, cosmetic surgeries, or you're wanting to change your hair, or you're wanting to do something a little different to make you feel a little sexier, a little more in touch with, who you are, this is actually a good time to do it. So I would say the first couple of weeks of September, get your sexy on. You are the cosmic favorite this month. And let's talk about this new moon that is going to be trining Uranus. So this new moon, of course, is in your 1st house. This is for your sun, moon, or rising sign, but I'm looking at it from the rising sign of Virgo. And it's going to trine Uranus, which is in the 8th house here for you. And so we're looking at this new beginning. This is your chance to take this year and just look at it and say, what do I want to create for the upcoming year? And you're really good about planning and looking at details. Remember, the new moon isn't necessarily an action moon. It's more of a contemplation, going within. It's considered a dark moon because we have a tendency to pull in and we want to do some self-reflection. That's what's perfect about this new moon on your 1st house. It's going to activate that self-reflective time. And while you're doing the self-reflection and looking ahead, I also love to play this game of look where you've come in a year. Look what's happened in just a year. And I would invite you to take some time out in the next few days to really look at how far you've come, what all has happened, because we don't know exactly what the next moment, the next day, the next year is going to bring. But what you can do is use this time to consider some of your goals. Where do you want to go next based on all your experiences that you've had? This new moon is going to call you to slow down, to give yourself what you need. It is a time for great self-care and just to consider also your best moves. What's next? Now, the other thing that it is going to activate is it's going to give you an opportunity to really listen deeply to your intuition. When you have this new moon activating in that first house, this is all about you. And so you get to enjoy listening very deeply and saying, okay, what is my higher self? What does spirit, what does source, whatever it is you believe in, what is that higher calling asking of me? And so in doing so, it can turn the new page of a new chapter. You can even write a whole new book. And I'm going to talk about that because in this month, Venus moves into Scorpio, which is your third house. So you may find that after this new moon, and you've set some intentions, that you suddenly get, because of this trine to Uranus, you suddenly get this moment where it's like, I know what I need to do, and I know how I need to do it, and I'm going to share it with others. This is going to offer you a chance to also look at your income, resources, and what you hold valuable. That's going to be active. So your first, second, and third houses are going to be extremely active this month. I mentioned Venus moving into Scorpio. That happens on the 10th or 11th, depending where you are in the world. And that is that third house. So your deep emotional bonds, this desire, remember I mentioned that partnership, even if you're single, you may be looking and driven to find somebody who you can share your ideas with, who you can form these deep emotional bonds with. And with Venus in that third house, the way that you can offer to connect with somebody is to share your ideas, but more than just the surface level. This actually allows you to go really deep and talk about certain subject matters that are maybe were off limits before, or maybe too taboo, but now you may really desire to learn about them and then talk about them and allow yourself to connect. This can deepen your bonds with your person if you are in a committed relationship as well. If there has been maybe a subject that you're like, I don't know if I need to talk about that right now, with Venus here, you may invite some situations and opportunities to actually now talk about it and give yourself a chance to go a little bit deeper into the why, the what, the how. And again, this can bring you some really good emotional bonding. It also, I'm going to point back to the second house because I'm going to talk about all the Libra activity in a minute, but that second house is about income, money, physical possessions, your self-worth and values. And so as you're sharing and learning, you're adding more value to yourself. And this can also give you a chance to be able to take what you've learned and apply it to your day job, apply it to the way in which you achieve or receive possessions, or the way in which you add value to yourself. Because one of the things about relationship, because it's up for everybody, is that you want to be the yes and person, right? So it's not just, yeah, this is a funny person, but they don't have their feet on the ground, or yeah, they're great in bed, but that's about it. You want to be the yes and, where it's, yeah, they're really amazing, they're funny, and they're smart. They're smart and they're good in bed. So it's the yes and. And I would say that if you're not familiar with this yes and, this could be that learning that you add in. The love of learning about certain subject matters may be really active right now. And publishing, writing, speaking, anything about what you've learned can add more value and give you a greater income, because you'll most likely be driven by your relationship to money, values, and the things that you put your self-worth in when Mars enters Libra on September 15th. So Venus is going to be activating that third house. You'll be learning about something or talking about it, maybe taking an exotic trip somewhere. That also can add some value because you're having another experience, maybe bonding with somebody. Friendships are highlighted here in this third house, or siblings. And then with Mars moving into your second house, this further gives you an opportunity to take what you've experienced and really allow yourself to see greater value. You may feel as though you're in survival mode at times because you're driven to create more balance in this physical world. And so when we're in the survival mode, our instincts are a super heightened mode. And this could have you thinking a lot about your money, about your physical possessions, how you can acquire more. It also may make you extremely generous, and that you may find that in order to have value with your friends or your family or your beloved, then you become very generous and you give away your possessions, or you give away things, or your money. That this could be an uptick in finances or an uptick in expenses. It just depends on how you choose to navigate this. But if you're looking for balance and harmony, because Libra is all about fairness and diplomacy and balance, then you may need to be a little more discriminatory about where you give away your possessions or your money. Resources are just an important aspect here with Mars, and you may put a lot of energy into securing that financial future. So there may be a lot of conversations, deep conversations with Venus in Scorpio in that third house, deep conversations about how you can increase your income, how you can increase your value, how you can get more. And this also, like I mentioned, talks about the self-worth. You may find ways in which you can, consider your physical body as an asset, and that you can gain more physical strength, and your health may become a priority here because it has to do with that body. I would also say that second half of September, you may be looking at ways in which you can work more independently, maybe leading teams, or some of you may be in the military or considering it, or just entering it, and you're leading an army. Yeah. Do watch, like I say, for some impulsive spending, because that's not the only way to add value. You can also add value just by being and spending time with others and doing what you do so well, Virgo, which is being of great service. The sun will stay in your sign, in your first house, until the 22nd of the month. So just before that, on the 17th, the sun will make a trine to Pluto, Pluto being our planet of obsession, or planet of deep rooted. I like to call it the rotor-rooter. It brings out the subconscious. It can bring out fears, but it can also bring out power. And this is where, when you have this trine here, it can easily stir up where you find yourself most powerful or most powerless, or make you a little obsessed about how to get things in your way, how to get things accomplished, because Pluto is in Capricorn, and this is in your fifth house. So it's making this trine between your first and fifth house. You may be really thinking about, how can I have more fun? How can I find my own creativity and sense of power that maybe attracts a lover, maybe attracts some love affair, because fifth house has a lot to do with pleasure and love affairs. It also has to do with children. So there may be something here with your children that you need to show up in a certain way. And Venus in Scorpio in that third house will be squaring off with Saturn in Aquarius. So that's another active point of tension here between your second and sixth house. It's possible that what you may find is that you have power in your possessions. You have power in the money that you can share, maybe for your children. Maybe there's something that a lover, a friend, somebody you're having some sort of romance with needs help, and you're like, I have the resources to help you. But there's that tension there that gets created where it's like, do I want to give this away because it adds value, or do I give it away because I think it'll make them like me more? So it could go either way on that one. there also could be a little fear stirred up of like, I don't have the resources that I really need to help this person. So how do I add value? It's a time of growth, which I really love. And it leads us right into this full moon in Pisces, which will be opposing your sun and your rising sign or moon. And that happens on September 20th in your seventh house. So when the full moon takes place here, it brings an awareness to your contractual agreements, anything that you may have said yes to or signed, or maybe other legal documents, because this has to do with partnerships. It does have to do with agreements that you make. It also has to do with the other. Where do we project? Right? And with Pisces here, this is a really beautiful placement for an opportunity to be of great service, but also to have healing. So some of you, if you're in a relationship, if you're in a bonded, committed relationship that has a lot of trouble right now, you may find opportunities to revisit the agreements that you've made with this person, and it can bring deeper healing. It also may be that you finally let go of a particular relationship here, that maybe you've been waiting for divorce papers to be signed, or you've been waiting for the person to move out, or you've been waiting for the job opportunity to be let go and you start something new. All these, you're going to be revisiting different contracts here. And it may be literally where the relationship ends, because it is a full moon and we tend to release things, but you know that there's something better on the other side. If you happen to be single or dating, this is a time where you could also take the relationship to the next level, where you may initiate a connection, or you may decide to move in together, take on some sort of responsibility, buy a house. It could, many different ways that it could show up, but that's also something else that may be active here. It is a time where we get to assess all of our relationships, all our one-to-one connections, and we can just say, does this still serve? And can I continue to give as much as I've been giving? Because some of you Virgos may have been over giving in a relationship, and this full moon could bring it to light, and you may say, I need to reset these boundaries. It's generally an emotionally heightened time as well. So it's very often that you may retreat for just a moment to really think and evaluate your relationships. And then you share with your partner, or they share with you. It could be friendship, it could be family member, what is really happening. And then you can work through it together. I will say that a lot of your decision-making process may be based on how secure you feel in your everyday life and with what you own and with who you are as an individual. And I say that because the sun moves into Libra on the 22nd in your second house. So that's it's going to be up for you. The second house theme is going to color the entire month. So you may be thinking about, here I am partnered with somebody, or I'm looking for that partner. Can they complement the possessions that I have, my values? Do they line up with my values? And when we're working with Libra here, again, we are working with values. Libra is ruled by Venus. And so there's a tendency to look at, are my values balanced? Is there reciprocity in my relationships? So those are the kind of things that you may be looking at. So you have these personal possessions or your money and your value, and you're like, are we exchanging this? Is this equal exchange? Because if it's not, we got to bring some balance back in here. You may discover personal power by working with a close partner to build assets during this time. And your central purpose is to learn how to give what you have and accept offerings from others. So this is a great time for building confidence in the giving and receiving. Remember, you're a giver. I would imagine, Virgo, you tend to overgive. So this is an opportunity while the sun is in the sun is in Libra. Mercury will be in Libra and Mars in Libra. It gives you a chance to be able to find that reciprocity, to find that being open to receive gives the other person just as much joy as it gives you when you give. Now, you can also find that playing fair with what you share, and that you can give of your talents here, and that can increase your value. Do be careful, though, that you don't give too much away, because I will say that this is an energy that could have you taken advantage of. The challenge is to learn to trust the flow of resources, that they're always available to you, and that you do things out of joy, not out of what you get from it. This is also, I mentioned Mercury in Libra. It entered Libra on the 30th of August, and it's going to stay in Libra all through the month of September into October, because it retrogrades on the 27th until October 23rd. And what will happen is that most likely this retrograde will be activating, it's a time of growth, but in that second house, Mercury is clever. It likes to look at things from different angles. It has ability to survive and earn money, and it does create a flexible and changeable value system. So here you are evaluating your values, and you may find that with Mercury here and retrograde, you reevaluate them, and maybe you redo them so that you can adjust with the world, so you can adjust with your work. This could find you having deeper, meaningful work, or that you increase your values because, or your possessions, because your values have changed. And it may be also that surviving in the world is not necessarily a burden, but with Mercury here, it's more like a puzzle, and you come up with all kinds of solutions. And this is what I will offer, is that if you feel consternated in your survival life, in your income, in your values and possessions, if you feel like, for instance, it's like, oh, I need a new car. Okay, that's a possession. Now with Mercury here, you may find that you have different options, and you'll be weighing them out, and you'll be looking and talking about, negotiating the terms of the, say, the loan, or terms of, maybe you go to your boss and say, hey, I need a raise because I have other bills that need to be paid. And I'm also doing all this extra work, and I'm really helping a lot of people, and I'm leading this team now. And I really want to take on more responsibilities. And that gives you an increase in your income, which helps you feel more valuable. Also, if you feel like you haven't had the value you want in a job or in a situation, you may decide that with the perseverance of Mercury and Libra here, is that you may decide that, hey, I'm going to fight for this, and I'm going to, because Mars is going to be in your second house in Libra here for a while. It may cause you to get really determined to get what you want, so that you can be appreciated and feel valued. And in order to feel appreciated and valued, it shows up as XYZ, whether it's an income increase, or it's a somebody gives you a bonus, or somebody gives you an office or a title. All of those things may come into play. And again, the big theme here is, for all of us, relationships, because we are entering into Libra phase, or Libra time, and because we're human and we're here to relate to each other. So it's definitely going to be up. And I would offer that try not to put too much value on what you are giving to others. Put value on who you are and how you show up with others. And then they see your value, and it gets reciprocated. And if you're not getting the reciprocation that you're looking for, it's a good opportunity for you to speak to it, revisit those agreements. And if it doesn't work, it's time to move on. All right. I hope this helps, Virgo. Please like, subscribe, share, comment. Find me at jamiedawn.com. I look forward to hearing how the month of September goes for you. Take care.